Hey guys, for today's video, I just wanted to reflect on the passing of a few musical artists that I appreciated listening to in the past. Um, Meat Loaf, for one. I, I was originally introduced to his music with Paradise by the Dashboard Lights, but two out of three ain't bad. You know, as a teenager, I thought that was pretty funny. It was before my time, but the older people in my life introduced me to his music, and then all of a sudden he had a little resurgence in his career. You know, I didn't know that he was in the Rocky Horror Picture Show until much later in my life, but yeah, he was in Fight Club, and uh, yeah, his name was Robert Paulson. Um, and then there's Custom, which many of you probably don't know. But about 2 decades ago, he had a song called Hey Mister, which got banned on MTV, which was the reason why I looked for his album called Fast. And I'll say that the rest of the songs on the album also impressed me, and especially from a do it yourself music perspective. I like certain artists that they do all the work themselves at home and keep crafting it, and the vision is a little bit more clear because it's coming from one person. From artists like Filter and Nine Inch Nails, and even a few of the early Smashing Pumpkins albums. Um, I like the artistry that comes out of that, and I really appreciated his songs. Beat Me and Mess, and yeah, Custom was I felt a really great overlooked musician, and apparently he died last month of heart complications. And he was in his 50s, and you know who's to say, because we're not given that much more information because he wasn't that famous, but you know um, it could have been the rock star lifestyle, introducing maybe some cocaine in his life earlier, because a lot of my clients who uh, used cocaine earlier in their life, they have vascular issues later, like high blood pressure, hypertension, and they have heart complications from it. But also, COVID's going around, and it's giving people complications that get ruled as their cause of death that wouldn't maybe have happened acutely if it weren't for that underlying extra pressure of COVID causing uh, the high blood pressure, which causes the heart attack. The whole. Some people don't think that should be ruled a COVID death because it's you know those people had underlying conditions. It should be well. That's not how we think about any other thing. If it wasn't for the acute illness that happened in the moment, then they might still be here. And I just been reflecting on that. And the only other besides being in his 50s, the only other condition that I knew that Custom had was he was like almost 7 foot. He was like 6'8", and that puts extra stress on your vascular system to be a giant, basically. And so maybe that contributed to his heart failure. But yeah, I won't know because things are kept private more when people aren't successful at being a celebrity. But in Meat Loaf's case, we know that for the week prior to his death, he was battling COVID. And I want everyone to know that. It's not just RIP Meat Loaf, it's RIP Meat Loaf, another casualty of this pandemic. For sure. We know this. And so that sucks. Last thought on my mind was saw a video on TikTok of a woman who her TikTok channel was if moms were honest, and it's mostly comedy, like like a lot of self-styled comedians who only share on social media. Um, so in one of her sketches, she was saying, when one kid gets COVID, and you don't want to have to go through two quarantines, and she's locked her other kid in the room with the kid that has COVID so that they both get it at the same time, so she only has to quarantine once, because it would suck to like lose 1 week of work and then lose the next week of work for the next kid getting it. And so there's a humor component to this, right? What I'll say is it reminds me of my childhood with people getting chicken pox. Like somebody gets chicken pox in the neighborhood, and all of a sudden, kids who've never had it, they want to come visit because their parents, they want them to get exposed as a young kid, because getting exposed later in life, it has more complications to it. Well, as far as death rates go, chickenpox will kill like one kid out of every 100,000 that gets it, right? And COVID will kill 30. So I'm not just pulling those numbers out my ass. There's a little bit of a variance, but those are your basic numbers right there. 30 times more deadly, but still, parents will think, let's just get it over with. Let's just get it over with. And here's a little personal note on that. Every day when I look in the mirror, I have to remember how my parents introduced me to chickenpox when I was 12, because at the same time I had acne. And they tell you don't mess with your chickenpox because if you scratch, it'll leave scars. Well, if you have it at the same time as you have acne, you'll get indelible marks on your face too that will never go away. I liken it to it's not as bad, but Edward James Olmos, the actor from Battlestar Galactica and a few movies earlier in his career that I remember. Yeah, it hasn't been great for me in my life. I wish I hadn't contracted chicken pox at that time in my life. Maybe if it was like a few years earlier, it wouldn't have happened that way. But still, there were lasting effects. But now here with COVID, we only have 2 years to go by. But there are children who have organ complications and long COVID for months, and we don't have studies on that yet. But we're looking at a mass disabling event where we're not going to know for a couple years that it wasn't the smartest idea to go ahead and get it over with. This is something that you should avoid if you can. And so, yeah, those are my thoughts today. Hopefully, nobody else dies before I'm through mourning who's already left. But I know that hope's probably a little bit misplaced.